And we're live. What's up, guys? It's James from SpursRelated, and welcome back. It's been a little while. We haven't done one of these for a little while, guys. But buzzing to be back. Buzzing to talk of everything about Tottenham. Finally get a win the other day. But before we do anything else, let's welcome in our special new co-host, Wright TV. A lot of you would have heard of him and seen his videos on YouTube, Twitter. Henry, pleasure to have you on board, and hopefully we can make this a regular thing and make the watchers happy.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully this will be a little project on the side that we can push forward. Just hope Spurs keep winning, because coming on talking about us losing at times, it is depressing. But for anyone who's watching, make sure you do smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. And yeah, let's get into it.
Spot on, exactly what you said. Like, one thing is watching Spurs lose on a Sunday or a Saturday, and the other thing is coming on and talking about it. So let's hope we don't have much more of that, for sure. But yeah, let's start things off. Nice win on Sunday. What were your main thoughts on the game? Were you impressed with the performance, or did you think we scraped it? Talk us through a little bit about it.
Well, the game as a whole, I'll be the first person to say I'm not a Nuno fan. I didn't really want this manager, and people will get on my back and say you're being too negative. I just think his game management and his management skills are very, very similar to Jose Mourinho in the fact that we always kind of never really dominate a game. I know we don't have the midfielders to dominate a game. We don't have an Eriksen anymore. We don't have a Modric, etc., etc. The first 10 minutes of that game, I thought we were awful. I'm not going to lie. Wasn't really impressed. But then as the game grew on, we got more and more into it. I feel like we took both goals very well. Højbjerg with a great finish. And if he can add maybe a few more goals to his game, I think he will be a world-class defensive midfielder. And then you see the likes of Son once again, the franchise player, putting everyone on his back once again. Even when Son is not, Son. Even when Kane's not firing, this man still turns up. But we grew into the game. Unfortunately, we conceded against a run of play. But great teams respond well, and they have the character to bounce back, and we did that. And that second half against Villa was probably the best half of football we've seen all season, in my opinion. The Man City game was very good, but as a whole, we was never really in control of the game. It was just kind of, are we going to take the chance? Did you get what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing is with that Man City game, we soaked up a lot of the pressure. Like, it was a case of you did. Let's be honest, we did think we were going to concede in that game. It was near enough a miracle that we didn't concede in that game. And of course, we played very well, to get the win. But I thought we were going to. There was times where Lloris came in clutch, and there was times where actually, the two centre backs, although we slate them enough, they were fantastic. So I think you're right in terms of the Villa game was very promising and the most promising performance of the season because of those reasons, because we looked so solid, because the team were pressing, because everyone was on board. And like you said, because even though Kane wasn't on board, Son was basically carrying two players. I mean, two players is probably light. He was unbelievable, absolutely fantastic. And, Son, we just need him to keep firing because he's leading that line at the moment massively.
He's like, I watch a lot of basketball, and they always say this person's a franchise player, that person's the franchise player. For Tottenham, he is everything about this club. He's so passionate. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He knows what it means to the fans. When Kane had a lot of the stuff going on behind the scenes, and he was kind of like, I'm not sure if I'm going to sign the contract. We don't know what's happening with Man City. Son, while all that was going on, signed the contract and said, I'm committed to my future of this football club.
And also on that,
etc.
Exactly, you're spot on there. And on that whole thing about, Son signing the contract when he wasn't sure Kane was, it was also a thing about the whole marketing with Tottenham change, because suddenly Son was the poster boy at Tottenham. It wasn't Kane. And since then it has been Son, because we're almost planning for a future without Kane. Let's be honest with you. Absolutely fantastic. Son couldn't be a nicer guy to be the sort of the head figure of Spurs. And like you said, he's showing it in games at the moment. Maybe started the season a little bit quiet, but, absolutely coming into his own now and showing that similar form he did this time last season, really, where he was firing 4 goals away at, Southampton. Similar time of the year, right? Let's just see. I can't remember the statistics exactly, but there was like Son scored like 75% of his goals in the first half of last season, and then sort of second half he drifted off. That would be my only concern about Son at the moment. He looks like absolutely phenomenal every single game at the moment. But will he continue, do you think? Will he continue past Christmas?
That's the thing. we don't want to get to the point last season where Kane and Son towards the end were burnt out. We don't have the players in depth, like technical players, good enough players to come in and, Lucas is good, but he's a bit of a bonehead. Like, and I mean that in a kind of sense, like he could do absolute madness for 10 minutes, take on players and have players on string, but then the other 80 minutes, he's not in the game. Whereas you look at teams like Manchester United, the depth they've got in wingers, Rashford, Greenwood, Sancho, Ronaldo, Cavani, Martial, that's depth. We literally have Son, Kane, and whoever's going to play right wing, whether it's Bergwijn, whether it's Hill, whether it's Lucas, whether it was Lamela or Bale. It's always trying to find that player who can play right wing. And for me, I'd like to see someone like Brian Hill bulk up and then actually give him a run of games, because at the moment, he looks quite frail and quite timid. On the ball, though, he looks like a technical good player.
Yeah, and the thing is with Brian Hill, he looks like a phenomenal player. It looks like he's got so much potential, and obviously he's still very young. But the problem for me is, and this isn't Brian Hill's fault, of course, but you looked at that bench against Chelsea and you looked at that bench against Aston Villa at the weekend, and you thought, who's going to come on and make a real impact? And it was Brian Hill. Like, at the moment, he is probably the best option on the bench. And like you said, when you look at Man United or Man City or Liverpool, Man United against, who was it at the weekend? They drew Everton. They had Sancho on the bench. They had Ronaldo, obviously, on the bench. They had just ridiculous players.
Even
on the bench.
Players like Donny van der Beek who aren't featuring. Donny van der Beek walks into our midfield.
That's what I was going to say. Exactly that. Like, all of those players on that Man United bench, every single one of them pretty much would get in that Spurs starting 11. And that's the difference between top four and not these days. It wasn't really like that in terms of like squad depth, because all the other squads have such depth. Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, all the top four basically. They have that squad depth and they can rely on players to come in when a player isn't performing or a player gets injured. We don't have that. If Son gets injured, right, I don't know about you, I'm worried. I'm very, very worried, because
100%.
Kane, like you said, Kane is not on it. It's very worrying. Let's just quickly say hello to a couple of people. Wayne, welcome on in. Evening, fellas. Hate the international break. Don't we all, honestly? Don't we all? We've got that UEFA Nations League thing going on this week, starting today as well.
It's so, unless international is actually in a tournament, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah,
no one really cares. And all you're worried about is if your players are going to get injured.
Yeah, it is a literal monopoly about who's going to get injured and who's not. But he said, hopefully we can move forwards from here and start a winning streak. Exactly, that's what we were all hoping for. Exactly that. And start, obviously, Newcastle next. Obviously, looking into that a little bit before we continue with the Aston Villa review. Henry, do you feel confident going into that Newcastle game after the performance of the weekend? Just as a quick, simple answer.
As a performance, I do feel confident, because I feel like that was our best football we've played all season, as in dominance. However, Newcastle's owners have they've just had new owners come in. That could potentially just change the mood of the club instantly.
I don't think the ownership's gone through yet. I think what's happened is
it's on the verge, though, isn't it? It's on the verge of being done.
They've cleared a massive stumbling block. It was to do with rights, and so the Saudi takeover that would happen is to do with the Premier League not being able to be shown in Saudi Arabia because of some kind of piracy. Apparently that's cleared now. I think it was beIN Sports. So that is clear, and this will probably go through. I don't know the ins and outs of Newcastle Football Club, to be completely honest with you, but I don't know. Mike Ashley, is he gonna walk over and just go, I'm gonna get taken over? Probably will, with the right bid. The guy's all about money, as is most football owners. But yeah, I agree.
General, it's about money.
Yeah, of course. But in terms of what you're saying about the mood might swing, by the time that happens, we probably will know more about the ownership. So I think you are right. I think there could be a lift, and potentially, the atmosphere gets a bit. St James's Park, fantastic atmosphere, but sometimes those fans, when it's not going good under Steve Bruce, I know that for a fact that those guys just are like so
very
down
hostile environment. They're very passionate, very, very passionate fan base. Newcastle remind me a lot in the sense of West Ham. They might not be in and around. I know West Ham are doing more now, but they might not be in and around the European spots. But their fans demand so much from their football club. You look at some of the players they've had over the years, even players they've got in their team now, like Alan Saint-Maximin is a fantastic player. Emerson or Reguilon, whatever the side they put him on, we've got to be absolutely on it, because Newcastle haven't won a game this season, and it would be such a Spurs thing for Newcastle to beat us.
Ah,
He just would.
Newcastle used to be a bit of a bogey team, sort of back in the sort of 2000s, early 2010s. We would lose a number of games to Newcastle, and in fact, even more recently than that, I remember losing. I think it was. Do you remember that game? I think it was 2016, maybe 2015 at White Hart Lane. I think it was Michel Vorm in goal for them, or was it Tim
Yeah.
Krul? It might have even been Tim
Tim
Krul.
Krul, yeah.
And he made about 30, like no joke, like 20 saves.
Yeah.
And they had about 3 shots.
1-0
And we lost 1-0.
from.
Yeah,
Was it
exactly.
Joelinton?
Yeah, I don't think that was the one at White Hart Lane, but I think that was another time. But I think
That was the year after.
yeah, I can't remember who it was that scored their goal, but yeah, it was 1-0 and it was 2-1, and we had about 30 shots, and we lost. And I was like, Newcastle are a bogey team. That is a thing, that is a thing, and we've got to be very careful of that. And like you said, Saint Maximin, if he can get down that wing past Emerson, which I would not be surprised, by the way. We can talk a little bit more about Emerson, but although he played actually very well on Sunday, I was quite impressed with his performance. His stats were very good, he was a solid performance. I wasn't too convinced with him against Palace. I think he got off to one of the worst starts against Crystal Palace. I thought he was very poor. But let's not get on too much of a negative about him. We haven't seen too much of him. Is he going to be Aurier V2? He's a different kind of player, but yeah, I mean, there is concerns there about his defensive abilities. I like the fact he goes forward. I think he's good at going forward, but time will tell.
I think he's technically has more talent than Aurier, like in the way that how he's rated. I mean, yeah, he had an awful start against Crystal Palace, but so did the whole team. No one really turned up that game. Going down to 10 men, okay, we lost, but we probably could have maybe stopped the second or third goal, but it is what it is. We move on to Chelsea. I thought he was very good the first half. I thought as a unit, defensively, we were very good the first half. Second half, when you bring on players like N'Golo Kante, it changes the game. They brought on Kante at half-time. Was it Kante?
Yeah, it was Kante.
Yeah, Kante. And then 15 minutes later, we're 3-0 down.
Yeah, I think it was Kante and Havertz or one of those players, or maybe even Werner, but it changed the game. And, Kante, absolutely world-class. There's some people in the league, right, that talk about Mo Salah being the best player in the league, which I would probably say he is at the moment. Kevin De Bruyne. But I would honestly put Kante right up there. I mean, the guy is complete. Chelsea are a different team without him. They're a completely different team without him.
And France as well. He does so much. He doesn't. People say, "Oh, yeah, he's so good at sweeping the ball," but his actual passing, he's got decent passing range. He has an engine. The guy could literally run for days, and he's so smart when he knows when to slide and he knows when to stand tackle, which a lot of defensive midfielders in the Premier League, especially the likes of Allen from Everton, Souček from West Ham, they kind of get a bit rash, dive in. Eric Dyer used to be like the same as a DM. Højbjerg is getting better at it, but it's all about, to be a top defensive midfielder, it's all about your decision making. If you become better at knowing when to tackle and knowing when to jockey, then you're halfway there already.
And I think there's a bit more to it than that. I think you're spot on, but I think there's a bit more to it in terms of knowing when to get a yellow card as well. Because if you think about Kante's discipline record, I mean, we could get it up, but I'm pretty sure that I can't remember the last time the guy got a red card, right? But there was.
I don't think he's actually got a red card, to be fair.
This is exactly what I mean. So even if he does get a few yellows here and there, he knows when to get yellows. Without making too much of a comparison, because it's a horrendous comparison. But you look at Eric Lamela, he'll just get a yellow card in 10 minutes, right? He'll get a yellow card in 10 minutes. We'll be under pressure for 80 minutes. We'll have to make the sub on 60. But Kante knows how to play the game. He knows when to pick up a foul without a yellow card. He knows when to make a yellow card if it means that the team's going to counter and potentially score. The guy is a mastermind. And also, back to what you said about France, Kante makes Pogba play well. And although Pogba is a very, very good player, his head is... He's basically, with Pogba, he's either world-class or he's really, really poor. But Kante usually makes Pogba play very, very well in that France team as well. So that just shows his impact on the rest of the team.
It gives him that freedom. When we brought in Oliver Skipp into this team, he's the only player in the actual squad we have who can sweep, who can clear it up. Højbjerg, I said this all along, the guy is not a defensive midfielder. He's a box-to-box player. And as soon as Denmark started playing the system where they have Delaney sitting, they gave Højbjerg the space to bomb up and down the boxes. And then he got, 3 or 4 assists in the Euros? Yeah, he's one of their best players. Since we played Skipp, Højbjerg has started getting up there more, getting up the field recently. And what happened on Sunday? He got his chance. He took the goal very well. That's what I'm saying. If we don't have a midfielder in our squad who scores goals, Ndombele, I think, got 6 or 7 last season. Giovanni Lo Celso got 1 or 2.
Yeah, not even that,
I think he got 1 against Liverpool. Harry Winks didn't. I don't think he scored, and Dele Alli didn't score last year. So we need someone, even if it's 5 or 6 goals, and then maybe bringing in a playmaker in January who can add the goals. We seem to be one of the only teams in the Premier League who have no goals from our midfield. You look at our midfield; they tore us to shreds. Our midfield was Dele Alli was playing left wing, Højbjerg was playing defensive midfielder, and then
Dele Alli wasn't playing left wing. Dele Alli wasn't playing. That's the problem. Dele Alli wasn't playing in that game.
There you go.
Honestly, I forgot he was playing. I only noticed him because of that shining green strand in his hair. He wasn't doing anything.
This guy's finished. We need to just get rid.
100%. We should have got rid of him while we could last season. Like PSG apparently offered him. Well, let him go back to Poch and realise that he's still absolutely tossed. Like honestly, he's awful. And do you know what? I was Dele Alli's biggest fan back in sort of when he came in and for those 2 or 3 seasons. But let's be honest, he is very, very average. Very average.
The thing is, as well, when he actually broke through to the squad, he was so famous for making that darting run, whether Toby or Lord of the Pings would ping it, Eric Dyer. Now, he just, I don't understand what he does. He doesn't run properly. Yeah, he might put in 8 or 9 kilometres a game, but it's all good running around the semicircle. You need to actually get in the box. He's only scoring penalties. He can't assist properly. He got assist against Wolves, fair enough. But from the player you were, it's like you've gone from a Ferrari to a Fiat. I don't understand this. And our fan base as well. I'm not going to rant here, but our fan base, especially on Twitter, absolutely adore this guy. And I don't get it. I honestly do not understand it.
Yeah, and the thing is, he will do one good thing. Like, okay, when did he score the penalty the other day, or when he scored the other day against Mura? And people are like, "Where's the Dele haters now?" And I'm thinking,
you're scoring against part-time plumbers, mate.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly. I mean, we could probably score against them with a penalty. Do you know what I mean? Like, he scored from 12 yards. Like, let's wake up a bit. And although he might have played well, or I can't even remember. Do you know what? I can't even remember if he got an assist or whatever. But even if he did, right? Does that suddenly make him a good player again? No, because he goes missing in the most important games, and he's being played in the wrong positions. In terms of, he used to be a central attacking midfielder, right? And now Nuno's trying to play him as sort of this. I don't even know, this box to box in a 3 in midfield, but it doesn't work. He's not fit enough. He's not strong enough, and he's not willing enough. That's how I'd summarize it. And the guy is not. His quality is not good enough. And like you said, Arsenal made us look like absolute mugs in that, especially that first half. I was embarrassed to watch that. I've never been so close to turning off my TV. I thought we were going to concede 4 or 5 in that first half. We probably should have done.
When I was doing my stream, I actually had chest pains. I was doing a live stream, so I was watching it, the TV right in front of me, and I could see it happening. When you've got no midfield, you leave your defence exploited, and the numbers game comes in. But some of those defensive performances, I mean, Dyer, he was woeful that day, and I was very emotionally reactional to that game. But I would have honestly sacked Nuno purely on the sense we bought a £50 million centre back, a Rolls Royce defender who was unbelievable against Aston Villa, and you leave him on the bench.
But why are we leaving him on? Why are we leaving him on the bench, Henry? Like, why? He's £60 million or 55 million, wherever he was. Right, it was a lot of money, and he's sitting on the bench. Like, if he doesn't start in the next game, I don't know what's going on. Who would you drop out? Dyer? Who would you drop out? Dyer and Sanchez, though. Would you keep in Dyer from the weekend, or would you stick with what the exact team?
I'm quite a fan of Rodon, and I don't think this guy has ever actually been given a chance. He made his debut away at Stamford Bridge, which is probably the hardest away game besides the Emirates for us to go. I think we've won there twice in 27 years. Where the Ericsson scored the worldie against Caballero. We always struggle there. We come away with a clean sheet. The guy was very good for Wales in the Euros, but hasn't actually been given the chance in a Tottenham shirt. And then you look at Japhet Tanganga. I've been bigging this guy up since his debut against Liverpool. The guy got man of the match. We lost 1-0. He pocketed, was it Mane?
Firmino
that game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now it's kind of like, now Dyer's going to start regardless. Romero has to start every single game, whether that's Europa League, League Cup, FA Cup, Premier League. The guy's probably going to do a 60-game season, but we can't not afford to play him. If we play the likes of Dyer and Sanchez against God knows who next, if we play Dyer and Sanchez against Newcastle, I honestly think we'll lose.
But you know what? I don't know who I'd rather play out, Dyer and Sanchez, because do you know what the thing is?
It'd have to be Dyer.
But Dyer. You say that, right? But But Eric Dyer can make they can both make stupid mistakes, right? We know that. But honestly, if I'm honest, I don't think there's much in quality between the two of them. I really don't, and I think they've both got a mistake in them. And I'm not saying like Rodon. Sorry, I'm not saying Romero's perfect, but I do agree with Rodon. Like, why is he not being given a chance? Why, when we went on that horrendous run when we lost to Palace, why is Rodon not knocking on that door? You know, why is he not playing? You know, it's we've got a few people coming in saying, you know, Dyer and Rodon. That's an interesting one. No Romero.
It's the thing. This guy is always in my stream, so thank you very much for tuning in. But why Dyer and Rodon when you've got Romero sitting there? Romero at the moment has the highest aerial duel rate in a game. I think he won every single header. In the first half, he completed 21 or 25 passes. You know, this guy has got some serious potential. If you bring in an actual another centre back, because he's more of a sweeping centre back. If we used to bring in like a Pau Torres, is it Pau Torres from Villarreal, a ball playing centre back, you'd have the perfect combination there.
Yep, spot on. I think we knew we didn't need just one centre back. We knew we needed two. I mean, there was no. I was doing podcasts in June saying, you know, we need two centre backs, and I knew we'd only sign one. I didn't even think we'd sign one, so it's an improvement, isn't it? But the fact we've signed one, and a very costly one. I mean, arguably the best centre back in Serie A last year, or one of the top three, or whatever the stats said, and he's sitting on the bench. I mean, you've got to ask questions to that manager. You really do. And I think Nuno's got away with one on Sunday because although we played well, right? And I don't think Villa were very good, by the way. Let's just get that in there as well. Villa weren't up to it. You know, and also let's get in there the fact that, you know, when Ollie Watkins scored, who was just thinking, here we go again, we're going to lose this 2-1? Because if Son didn't make that run through and play it across, and then it was obviously own goal, where everyone thought it was Lucas, but an own goal, we could have potentially lost that game. And if not, probably more than likely drawn it. Because let's be honest, we could have gone 3-1 up after 2-1, but at 1-1, you were very worried. Everyone was very worried. The stadium atmosphere changed, of course it did. And our play was just poor. I was just like, here we go, we're going to lose 2 or 3-1 here. And I had flashbacks. I think, was it Wolves where we went 2-1 up last year and then we lost 3-2? And I was thinking, here we go again. Like the amount of times that team.
It's just a Spurs thing. You know, we could never ever hold on to a lead under Mourinho. I think Gagetta said, because I don't think Romero can play against Newcastle due to the isolation rules coming back from South America. So we're going to lose out on potentially Sanchez, Romero, and Lo Celso. There was a lot of people talking about it today on Twitter because, you know, West Ham have kept Antonio to go into Jamaica, and Liverpool have kept Mane and Salah going to the African Cup of Nations because they know how important they are to the club. Yet our best centre back we can just let go. I don't understand some of the decision making in this football club at times. I really don't.
But the thing is, I think the only thing I would disagree on then is that there is decisions to be made at the club, but also I think there's a thing about if an international team calls for a player and he doesn't accept it, they can actually cause implications on the player. So I think I can't remember who refused to go, but wasn't it Richarlison, something to do with last time. And basically the Brazilian FA let him off, but they punished the other players for going back early or whatever it was. I didn't read into it too much. But what I'm saying is the national teams can punish the players for not basically following this regimental sort of process where, you know, they've got called up if they don't. It's a bit like, you know, regiment service or whatever you call it, you know, military service. Sorry, mine went completely blank. Military service. Like if you don't go up, you get in trouble in some countries. That's what it seems like. So I think it isn't all about the club, but I do see exactly what you mean. Like why there must.
Antonio tweeted it out today. He said, "I'm due to a lot of games in our season. I've decided to stay with West Ham." Like Antonio is their best player and has been their best player all season. He's got something like 11 goal contributions already this season. Yeah, Romero, who was unbelievable against Villa, is now potentially out of the Conference League game and the Newcastle game.
I know, unbelievable. Well, I don't think there's a definitive answer, but even if that is true, who do you start if you don't have Romero? Then let's throw a curveball in there. Do you start Dyer and Rodon like Sam?
See, you could play Dyer and Tanganga and have Reguilon, Emerson, Dyer and Tanganga. or you could go back to what we had in the first 3 games and play Dyer and Sanchez, or you play Dyer and Roden. Dyer will start regardless. Every manager, whether it was Nuno, whether it was Ryan Mason or Jose, they all had Dyer in that back line.
Why? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
I no idea. This guy is an absolute clown. He's got the turning circle of a double-decker bus. Cannot win the game that sticks out, and it really rattles me, is when we drew 1-1 to Fulham, and Carvalho, who's 5'8", beat this man to a header. Dyer's 6'2", 6'3". How does the physics in that does not add up? You've got 6-7 inches of height, and you lose a header. That's like me trying to beat Peter Crouch.
Yeah, not happening, is it? It's just. Yeah, spot on. And he's going to make another mistake like that if we keep playing him. That's the problem. People might say, oh, Dyer can have good games, which I do think he can. But, you know, there is a 1 in 2 chance, I'd say, that he's going to make a mistake in a game. But there
100%. It's probably evens. If you're a betting man, you probably say it's evens at Dyer or Sanchez. One of the two is going to mess up.
Well, if you're playing both, then you're double as likely, right? So if you play both of them, it's just asking for trouble. What about this opinion from Craig Marsh? Welcome in, Craig, to the stream. I don't know if you're still there. But anyway, he said, get Dyer back into holding midfielder. He watches the ball too much. Give Tanganga and Rodon the chance to partner Romero. So I'll start off things very quickly. I would say don't get Dyer back into defensive midfield. And the reason by that is, and that's no disrespect to your opinion, Craig, but the reason for that is if you're saying he watches the ball too much, I do not want my midfielders watching the ball. That is a fact. That is the one, well, not the one position. It should be all the positions, but that is the main position you do not want a player to be not putting 100% in, watching the ball. Because guess what? You go straight through from attack to the other team's defence. You're through on goal because there's no heart in your midfield. There's no heart in your team, right? And that's what Dele Alli's doing at the moment. He's walking around like he's sort of on Sunday league, sort of having a laugh, you know, jogging around sometimes, not sprinting back. Yeah. If I keep on going,
it's ridiculous. It's in our actual squad, like Paratici or Paratici, how you actually pronounce it, or how the Italians pronounce it. He did quite a good job in the fact that we got rid of Sissoko. Aurier is now left. Danny Rose, we got rid of his contract. Alderweireld obviously lost his legs. Lamela went part of the Brian Hill deal, but there's still a lot of dead wood. Sanchez, Dyer, Winks, Ali. You know, there's still so much in it. You could even argue Bergwijn. And this, I wanted to get your opinion on that.
We're getting onto that. Don't worry about the Bergwijn thing. We are getting onto Bergwijn because it is actually one of the questions that one of the followers has asked us. And I was actually looking forward to asking you this one about Bergwijn because I've had debates with the other Spurs-related members and some of those Spurs-related guys, right? No disrespect to them, you know, obviously I can't, you know, disrespect them too much, but they are Bergwijn fans, some of them. And I said to them, like, why are you a Bergwijn fan? So what has he done since that Man City debut? And he scored, what, is it 2 goals? I mean, it is literally, I can count it on one hand, right? And
it's ridiculous.
And I know Lucas Moura doesn't score, you know, tens of goals, but Bergwijn for me is a Janssen on the wing. He's a Janssen on the wing because the similarities being he's come from the Dutch league, he scored good amount of goals, he impressed at PSV, you know, whereas, you know, Janssen did his bits at AZ Alkmaar or whoever it was, you know, they do their bits over there, but we're forgetting this is the Dutch league. We're in the Premier League. It's the best league in the world by far.
PSV, who are one of the heavyweights over there.
Exactly, but the thing is, you think of PSV's team at the moment, right? Who have they got on their wing? That Berg, what's his name? They
got the guy from our academy, Makana. How do you pronounce his name?
Yeah, Makandeli or whatever his name. Yeah, you're spot on. So whoever they've got on the wings out there at the moment, you can hardly name. That's my point. My point is, whoever they are, you might have heard them in the Europa Conference League or the Europa League, but they're not massive players. And my point is, just because they've scored 20 goals in the Eredivisie or whatever the league's called, the Farmer League, they're not going to suddenly be world-class Premier League players. Whereas if you compare this to Lucas Moura, and again, we'll come on to it more, Lucas Moura played for PSG for a number of years. He got in that starting 11, even in the Zlatan days, right? He got in, you know, pretty much week in, week out. He was in a world-class team. Yes, PSG are bigger now, but they were still, you know, a world-class team.
Yeah, still relatively
Lucas Moura had that experience. And some people will probably argue in the comments saying French league is a farmers league. But let's be honest, French league compared to the Dutch league is still a big step up. You know, the French league is a better league and it's a better team. He's played in the Champions League, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So that is the difference between Lucas and Bergwijn. Now, we've actually got this debate to come. So either hold back or give me a bit of an opinion, Henry. But that's my opinion. Bergwijn is not good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. And I said give him one more season and let him go. And the way he started the season, the thing is, he has had some chances. We can't say he hasn't had a chance because he has had a chance, especially when Son was out at that point in last year. He just didn't impress me. He did nothing.
The guy can't finish beans on toast. He can't finish anything.
He had about 3 shots. Who was it against? And he skied one of them. Like, I could have done much better. Like, it was horrendous.
The game that was a turning point for me when I went, this guy's not it. It was away at Anfield. He had 2 chances, clear cut, 1-on-1s with Alisson. Don't get me wrong, Alisson is one of the best goalkeepers in world football. But to be in a team that is continuously challenging for the Champions League, if a chance comes, you have to take it.
The one-on-one. Yep.
This man is simply not good enough. And I'll argue and have a debate with every person who defends this man, because he has got he got 1 Premier League goal last year, and it was the very last game of the season against Aston Villa. The season before that, he scored against Manchester United and Man City. And then he scored, funny enough, a Villa away. So he's got 4 Premier League goals. For what? Lucas Moura, okay, fair enough. He's a bit of a bonehead and can run around in circles, but he gives you energy. You know what you're going to get from him.
Exactly, and you're spot on about Lucas Moura, because he has had not, I think he started the season very well, but also he has had a couple of performances where you're like, come on, we do need a bit more quality in that area. But Lucas, he's a bit like, I don't like comparing him to Lamela, but Lamela put his heart on his sleeve, and although Lamela was absolutely slated, and I think the time was to move him on was correct, and it was well overdue, wasn't it? Let's be honest. But Lucas Moura wears his heart on the sleeve. He runs for every ball. He sometimes makes these unbelievable dribble runs where he goes around 2 or 3 players, and you're like, Jesus, he's rolled back the years there. But Bergwijn, the fact that he
doesn't bring anything to the table, mate.
You've got to remember that Bergwijn's actually a lot younger than Lucas, and he's actually not even showing signs that he's even, honestly, I don't even know how to explain it. Bergwijn just disappoints me every time. I want the guy to do well. Of course, I want the guy to do well, but he's like a deflated balloon. Like, he sort of makes a couple of runs, and you're thinking, what are you doing? Like, he has no end product. Like you said, he can't hit a barn door. Concern for the guy. I think he's got to move on if he doesn't do anything this season.
I said on our CHFC show, I said we should move this guy on in January if he doesn't perform. He had a very good chance against Man City that he pushed wide, and apart from that, I don't remember this guy getting in a goal scoring position. I think he was injured at the moment. I saw a picture on his Instagram the other day of him in a brace in his leg. But where are we going as a football club? We for 3-4 seasons now, we do not have a standout right winger. Gareth Bale. An unfit Gareth Bale still scored 12 goals last season.
And it was a joy to watch, especially at the end of the season. He was scoring for fun pretty much. And that's what we need. Like, why can't we go out and get an established right winger? Why does it have to be this gamble in the Dutch league or the gamble in the French league or wherever it may be? You think of the wingers we've had in the last 5-6 years, by the way. Clinton and Jai, right? Who else have we had?
We bought him over Mane, by the way. Can you just point that out? We bought Njai over Mane.
That is shocking. Who's the other one that was similar to him that just did nothing? I mean, pretty much all of them. But
I swear there was another standout one as well.
Yeah, it was another French league player. But again, why are we not? Nkudu, that was it. I told you it was on the French line. Nkudu, I mean, oh my goodness. The guy's best thing I remember him doing was it away at Fulham in start of 2020, I think it was.
It was the cross for Harry Winks' goal, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say. Apart from that, right, he did nothing. Nkudu got get
I was actually at that game, and the atmosphere when we scored that goal was unbelievable.
Absolute scenes. But that's all he's going to be remembered for, right? That is all he did. Nkudu, oh my god, I don't know who's worse out of the two of them, Clinton and Jai or Nkudu. But that's what I mean. Like,
but why do people rate this guy? No one ever rated Nkudu. Why do people rate Bergwijn?
But do you think it's that sort of like people don't like slating their own team? It's a bit like what you said about Dele Alli earlier on Twitter. Do you think it's a case of when Bergwijn goes, everyone's going to be like talking about Njai like we were, like, oh my god, he was pony, like he was.
If you're a football fan, right, you're entitled to your opinion. If someone's playing poorly, you have a voice. Tell them they're playing poorly. Some people crumble under constructive criticism. Some people rise to it. You never see Ronaldo when he's getting booed over a bad game. He rises to it and goes up, and then he'll start. When West Ham were giving him a load of crap, he scored and then started hushing the West Ham fans. That's the sort of
different gravy,
mentality
isn't
you
he?
need as a footballer.
Different gravy. Gagetta also said Bergwijn's confidence has been shattered since that Liverpool miss, which is what you said, Henry, similar to what you said. Jose didn't trust him and left him out of match day squads towards the end. But the thing is, Jose was spot on to leave him out of the squads. He gave him that chance, if you remember, when Son was out. Do you remember? And
he brought nothing.
Front three was Kane, Lucas, and Bergwijn. And thank God, Kane was unbelievable last year. And he's sort of doing what Son started to do this year. But oh my goodness! Should we move on? Should we move on to Harry Kane?
Yeah,
one more thing. Good. They said
Bergwijn.
Dyer not mobile enough to play in midfield. Plus, he cannot pass. Exactly that. And he's also said Dyer's been playing well to be fair this season, but Arsenal who definitely played. Do you agree though? He's a liability on the most part. I mean, absolutely. I hope Nuno has fully sussed out Dele. Hopefully, he doesn't play him in the league. Do you think Dele Alli will play next game? It's a good question.
Yeah.
I
think he'll play the next 3 games because this manager loves him, and I do not get why. He'll probably play a 4-2-3-1 against, I would imagine, or a 4-3-3 against Newcastle because they set up a 5 at the back, and then we go to Vitesse away in the Eredivisie in the Conference League. Eredivisie side in the Conference League, and then we have West Ham. Now that West Ham game is a 6-pointer for us. We cannot go there and play like we did last year under Mourinho, because last year, was it still under Mourinho then? It was. We lost 2-1. It was awful. I think Dele Alli will start, though, answering to your question. I don't want him to, but I think he will.
Do you know what? While you were just talking, then of course I was completely listening to what you're saying in terms of you think he's going to start. But I was looking at our bench on Sunday, right? If we just go through that bench just quickly, and the next question I was going to ask you was, if Dele Alli doesn't play, who plays? And it's another very good question, because our bench on Sunday was Matt Doherty, Davinson Sanchez, Harry Winks, Brian Hill, Joe Rodon, Lo Celso, Ali, Galini, and Scarlett. Now, 2 midfielders on that bench, right? Dele Alli and Harry Winks, right? Who'd you pick out, Dele Alli and Harry Winks? I mean, it's like picking between. I don't even know. It is. We've got no options. That is the moral of the story, right?
It's ridiculous. For me, I think, and I'll probably get a lot of stick for this, I think our best midfield, even though one of them is playing absolutely terribly at the moment, and it has been for months, still is Skip, Højbjerg, and Ndombele. And people will go, Ndombele, this and that. But yeah, I know the guy is terrible at the moment, but he still brings more to the game than Harry Winks, Lo Celso, and Dele Alli. You could argue at the moment in time, Lo Celso is playing better because he's played well in the Conference League games. So maybe you play Lo Celso at 10, Skip and Højbjerg in that double pivot, but we still don't have a number 10. Giovanni Lo Celso is not a number 10. Dele Alli is not a number 10. Ndombele is a box-to-box mid.
The only counter-argument I'd have to that, and I sort of have a counter-argument for my argument, and then it will make complete sense in a minute, is a lot of people say Lucas would work well in a number 10, and I do agree. However, there's one thing. If you move Lucas to a number 10, who's playing on that right wing?
Brian Hill.
Do you think that would work? Do you think that's a possibility?
Oh, you frozen? You there? Yeah,
you froze for a second. We're good.
I just said play Brian Hill there.
Yeah, do you not think that's an opportunity though? Rather than, so would you do, like you said, would you play Ndombele or Lo Celso at Cam and the 2 midfielders in Skip and Højbjerg and then the normal front 3, or would you rather do what I said and play Lucas at number 10 and Brian Hill on the right?
It's definitely an option. Lucas Moura had about 7 or 8 games last year at 10. And was actually quite well. He was one of our best players.
He did very well when Bale was on that right wing. But this is what I'm saying, because Bale was on that right wing. And although Bale wasn't prime Bale, he was bloody good at some points. And actually it allowed Lucas that freedom to go down the centre and not go on the right wing.
Yeah.
But honestly, Brian Hill, I think, deserves a chance. I think Brian Hill deserves a chance. And I would try that. But obviously I'm not Nuno. But the guy's obviously up Dele Alli's, sunshine. And he doesn't see light of day. So
what about playing... Listen to me on this. Son through the middle.
What, number 10 or up front?
Up front. Brian Hill on the left, Lucas Moura on the right, and Kane at 10. Because Kane is the only player in this squad that can play the final third pass.
I think you're right. Why not? The guy's not doing anything.
So deep, so why not leave him in that position anyway?
Yeah, because did you notice what game was it? It was the game we played absolutely shambolic. Arsenal, but there was the home game before that. What was the home game before that? Sorry.
thought it would have been. It wasn't Wolves. It would have been Watford.
Yeah, Watford. Although we won that game, right, the amount of times Kane was coming deep, right, and it meant there was no one, near their centre backs, no one to make the run through. And I was thinking exactly the same about why does Harry Kane not play in attacking midfielder, because he basically plays 90% of the game there anyway. So why don't we have someone up front waiting for that final ball, waiting for those through balls, or waiting for the ball across to the wing for someone on the end of a cross? And I'll tell you why the reason is because Son isn't trusted as a number 9. And I've got to agree with it slightly, but also it doesn't hurt to try it. I mean, if we play anything as bad as Arsenal again this season, I would try anything. I would try absolutely anything. And like I said, I think Nuno's a lucky guy. I don't think I quite finished what I was saying on that, but Nuno is a lucky guy. And the reason why is if we lost that game, the amount of people saying Nuno out would have been ridiculous, right?
It's already crazy at the moment. I mean, I'm Nuno out, but I didn't want the manager in the first place.
Yeah, but I mean big time. I mean like calls for his head immediately. If we lost that Villa game and then we lost Newcastle, he's gone, right? He is gone.
But the thing is, at the same time, as much as I am Nuno out, look at it from the club perspective. We're in a and this is I'm trying to put my level-headed neutral fan, not Spurs passionate diehard clown. This guy has got a bang average squad when you take out Son and Kane. It is a mid-table, probably 12th, 13th when you take out Son and Kane, right? Mm-hmm. We've brought in a new director of football who basically spent more time on his phone than did anything else, but we still didn't bring in another centre-back, a striker, or a playmaker. And the only thing that drove me absolutely insane. You still there?
You froze for 1 second. Sorry, we got to the point.
The only thing that drove me insane is we said we wanted to play our DNA and we wanted an attacking coach. So why did we bring in Nuno Espirito Santo? Ten Hag was available for 5 million, who worked on a transfer budget for 11 million euros every year. They have brought through the likes of De Ligt, Ziyech, Donny van der Beek, Frankie de Jong, Onana, Tagliafico. They brought back Daley Blind, Dusan Tadic. All of those players start.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Every single one of those players start for us.
Spot on.
It's ridiculous, mate. It's absolutely ridiculous. 100%. Why bring in this manager?
Well, the thing is, from your point about the fact that Nuno is an attacking manager. He's not an attacking manager. He's not. And if we are going for this, because the amount of times we've started off so deep. Look at that Arsenal start, right? We were just sitting back waiting to concede that first goal. Let's be honest. We did not turn up for that. The only point we turned up was when Son scored, and then we're starting to G up the crowd. I mean, if I was in the crowd, I'd just be like, "Oh my god, embarrassing stuff." I was fuming. The language that was coming out of my mouth was something else. I mean, I think I can speak for everyone. They were embarrassed to watch that game. Now, the point is, if he was an attacking manager, that wouldn't have happened, because if we did concede early, we'd have gone, "Come on, then, let's have it. Let's have some urgency." But we weren't. We were waiting to concede the other goal, right? The next goal, and then the next goal. And it got to the point where it was like, you have to be stupid not to be able to see this. Like, there was he had to make a change earlier, and he didn't. He didn't have the bottle to make the change earlier. Brian Hill has got to be coming on to games, right? And like I said, how embarrassing, although all respect to Brian Hill, right? He is the one we're looking to at the bench at the moment. Like I said, I just read out that bench. That is horrendous. That is Burnley standards. And tell me I'm wrong, because it's not. It's not wrong. Burnley have probably as good a bench as us. What do you think?
It's crazy, mate.
I mean,
I'm sorry, my internet is really struggling at the moment. I do apologise, but when someone's put in the comments, go get her. Put Tadic doesn't start for us. He's done well since Ajax. He's a playmaker who plays on the wing. He walks into our team. Like, do you not agree? Would you not have Dusan Tadic at Spurs?
He completely works into our team, because we still haven't replaced the Eriksen position, and Tadic does exactly that. Tadic would play the number 10, and although he's potentially he's not world class, but he's still something we're missing. We're clutching at straws for what lineup we put out because of this. We're clutching at straws talking about Lucas at number 10. Why are we talking about wingers at number 10? And yes, it's just ideas, but why are we having to talk about that? Why have we not, from how many years ago was it Eriksen went? 2, 3? Why have we still
two seasons ago? Yeah,
but why have we still not got a replacement for Eriksen? So we've got the centre back we need. We still need another one. We still need that centre attacking mid. We still need that backup striker. We still need that world class winger.
a world class centre back as well.
Yeah, exactly. We still need another centre back, and we still need a box to box midfielder or a midfielder that can score goals. And when people say to me we had a really, really good window, that annoys me because do you know what? We had an all right window, but we didn't do enough. And there was teams like Aston Villa had a better window than us because
Aston Villa also had the big cash injection from Grealish.
They did, but let's not pretend Levy and ENIC aren't short of a bob or two. Let's stop pretending we need money in to spend money. We've been the tightest club in the Premier League for 5-6 years. Our profit and loss. Levy is an accountant. He manages the fact we don't lose money. Think of the amount of money, right? And I'm throwing it out there as a bit of a curveball. Think of the amount of money we generated from that Anthony Joshua fight. No one's talking about that, right? Because, by the way, we would have been paid multi-millions of pounds by Matchroom Boxing.
He signed was it a 5-fight deal for 80 million?
But
5 or 6 fight deal. That's without all the drinks being sold at the game, merchandise, etc., etc.
Drinks. So another thing, when you go on a stadium tour, they tell you on a typical NFL game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, they sell £1 million worth of pints, right? That's £1 million. I'm not saying that's all profit. Let's just say it's £750,000 profit, right? Where does that go? Where does that go?
Mate, you're preaching to the choir. This man, we have the highest paid chairman in world football, the highest season ticket, the highest bottom tier season ticket in Europe. For what? For absolutely what? Harry Kane, and I'll stand by this, has not seen a world-class player in their peak come through the door since playing for Tottenham. Human Son was not world-class and worked for Bayer Leverkusen. We blossomed him and nurtured him into the player he is now. Eriksen was not world-class. Toby Alderweireld, Hugo Lloris, he has not seen anything. The closest thing to world-class he's seen coming through their peak is Gareth Bale.
Yeah, spot on. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And this is what I'm going back to the thing about, picking players out of the Dutch league or the French league. Why the hell can we not go to a mid-table club in the Premier League or a club in 7th or 8th, maybe not buying off a rival like West Ham, but teams that are doing overly well. Let me give you a few examples. Think of Rafinha from Leeds. Why don't we go and get him? Right?
Bissouma from Brighton.
Bissouma from Brighton, exactly that. What about
as well?
Who did you say?
I said Bissouma from Brighton. I said Rafinha from Leeds. There's another one as well from
Saint Maximin. What about Saint Maximin? We're screaming out for Saint Maximin. He makes stuff happen, and then he could probably play in number 10. And even if he couldn't, do you know what? He makes things happen. We've got players in that team that haven't been wanting to be there for a number of years, like Dele Alli, like Harry Winks. Apparently, I've heard something today. Harry Winks wants to go out on loan. Good. Don't get him out on loan. Get him out on a permanent.
Why? The thing is, why is it taking this long? Like we sold Sissoko to Watford. I never thought I'd see the day. I never honestly thought I'd see the day where this man would finally leave this football club. But just quickly progressing, this Newcastle game coming up. I mean, we've spoken about our confidence level, but who, apart from Saint Maximin, where do you think they really threat us? Because Newcastle, I think, are the 4th or 5th highest scoring team in the last 2 seasons from set pieces. We always struggle on set pieces,
and we probably conceded one of the most, right? So that would
we are. We're the worst defending team at set pieces.
And I'll tell you now, and you can clip this, and we can talk about it next week or the week after, whenever, when we're playing. You can clip this now, right? Whatever centre-backs we play, one of them is going to be Dyer or Sanchez, right? It's probably going to be Dyer. And he will make a mistake in a set piece, whether it concedes a goal or not. He will be in Dally dreamland, right? Or Dele Alli will lose his man, or someone will lose their man, and we will concede, because Newcastle, like you said, have scored the 3rd or 4th most amount of set pieces in the league, right? And they're not a brilliant team, Newcastle.
They're very poor.
They're exactly a poor team, and
side without Wilson and Saint Maximin, they're basically championship level. Like this another player, Callum Wilson. Why did we not pick him up from Bournemouth?
I don't think
A
Callum
lot of people
Wilson.
turn their nose up, but he's a better backup striker than unfortunately Dane Scarlett, who's 18 years old.
I agree, but I think the only thing I'd say about that is I think Callum Wilson would have been a panic buy. However, it would have been an improvement to what we've got now, and that's what you've got to look at. Sometimes it's like if you can't get the world class or the creme de creme, go and get someone that can score a few goals, that can come off the bench and make some kind of impact. Don't rely on a 17-year-old striker that's barely played a minute in the Premier League, that's obviously tipped to be this next, big thing, but he's not ready yet. We talked about Troy Parrott in this kind of way for a number of years, and look where he is now. And I really hope Dane Scarlett comes through, and I think he probably will. But we talked about Troy Parrott like he was going to be like this, and he's ended up at Ipswich or wherever it is. It's like,
to be fair though, to be fair to our actual youth setup, besides Kane, I don't think we've in the last decade actually had a good striker.
No,
like this is, I mean, go back to the likes of Berbatov, before that Defoe, Robbie Keane, go back before that Teddy Sheringham. Since we've brought in Kane through the academy, we haven't ever seen another striker in the squad.
No. We used to have
good strikers. Thing as well.
We used to have good strikers. Well, I used to enjoy watching Tottenham strikers when we weren't as big of a team. When we weren't getting top 4 regularly, or we weren't getting top 6 regularly. Like you said, we had this man behind us, Jermaine Defoe. We had Robbie Keane. We had Pavlyuchenko, who was actually a bit of a baller at times. We had Peter Crouch.
He scored. Was it in the Europa League off the crossbar? Was unreal.
We had Peter Crouch, right? Yeah, and he was brilliant in the Champions League for us.
Vibes FC, Peter Crouch, mate. Just vibes.
That, sorry?
I said he was pure vibes.
We had Peter Crouch. We had, although he wasn't, amazing, he still scored goals. Darren Bent. We had some Berbatov. We had some serious strikers. Since 2010, like you said, we've had obviously Harry Kane, right? Soldado, Janssen, Lorente, yeah. Who else? Genuinely, who else? And the fact you can't remember.
Then we bring in Fraser Campbell as well.
Exactly. Do we even need to talk about this anymore? Like, the point is, we don't do the business. Now, just quickly, before we answer a couple of questions from the Q&A from the Instagram, let's go on to this. It's a good question I was meant to bring up a minute ago. Chris Mather, welcome on in. He said, do we sell Kane and build around Son? Now, I'm going to leave that one with you because I think we do, and I'm going to hear what you think, but I think you'll probably think the same. I think we do because the guy's head's gone.
The thing is, when we were holding on to Kane, we were all absolutely certain this guy wasn't going to turn up to training. This guy's a true professional. This guy's going to put in the performances regardless. Everything we thought he wouldn't do, he's now doing. This is a hangover. This could happen for Vinicius. Is another striker as well that would, we had as well.
He's in the Soldado Janssen category. I'm sorry, he is.
He's bang average at best. But talking on Kane, if they're offered 125 million and add-ons on the table, it's very difficult to look at. We need a rebuild to turn that down. If we bought smartly and brought Dumfries for 8 million, Marcel Sabitzer for 15 million, you brought in probably
both gone because we're too slow. They've both gone. The boat's gone. The ship's sailed.
We would have brought in maybe Danny Ings for 20 million before he went.
Sabitzer's gone to Bayern Munich. Dumfries has gone to Inter Milan. Ings has gone to Villa. We're too slow on all these things. And do you know what? It's what Spurs Related do in terms of news. We'll talk about all these rumours like, the next, who's the one that we're linked with back from Tottenham? The one you said earlier from PSV. We'll be linked with him. We'll be linked with whoever else it is. We'll probably be linked with Skriniar again. We'll be linked with whoever it is. And we'll end up signing Clinton and Jai's brother from France. That's what we'll end up doing. Which is probably Pepe Matasar, by the way. Yeah, but there you go. I think you're spot on. I think what we thought wasn't going to happen did happen, and now we regret not selling him, don't we? Because although that hurts me to say it, the guy doesn't want to be there. The fact he hasn't scored one goal in how many games? 7? 6? One goal he hasn't scored.
But then you flip it on the flip side. In the summer, could we have afforded? The only actual replacement in world football that's going to come in and dominate would be Erling Haaland, and he would never come to Tottenham. So I believe the club wanted to bring in a second striker to partner Kane. However, the time with Lautaro Martinez and the Lukaku situation was awful. If that being said, go and pay 50 million for Vlahovic. I don't understand it.
Do you think Vlahovic is good as Kane? Do you think Vlahovic is as good as Kane?
I'm not saying
I
he's as
don't.
good as Kane, but he's 21 years old and he does have a lot of potential. You're playing for Fiorentina and you're the 5th highest goal scorer with Ronaldo in that league at the time, Lukaku in that league at the time, Lautaro Martinez and Immobile. Now, they're all very, very good strikers. Ronaldo's world class. Lukaku on his day is world class, even though he's got the first touch of a donkey. But, you know, why couldn't we not go out there and buy a striker who's going to rival Kane, not someone who's going to play bench for Kane?
No, it's shocking. But the thing is, we're going to have that problem anyway. Like I completely see what you're saying, but we're going to have that problem come January if he goes, or come the summer, which is more likely. We're going to have that problem where we're not going to have a striker that's as good as Kane. Whether we buy Lautaro Martinez or whether we're not going to get Erling Haaland, we're not going to get Mbappe, and we're not going to get Lewandowski. So whoever it is going to be a downgrade, right? So whoever we get instead of Harry Kane is going to be a downgrade. There is no two ways about it. So I feel like we just have to deal with that. But also we have to strengthen in other positions. The rebrand last time from when we sold a big player, Gareth Bale, was mocked in world football for years, and rightly so. The only one that was good out of that was Eriksen and potentially. You think who we had? We had Chadley, Soldado, Chiriches, Paulinho. Oh my goodness, yeah.
The only one that was actually semi-decent besides Eriksen, which says it all. Chadley was a better footballer than Lamela. Lamela stayed in nearly 8 years, and we sold Chadley after 3 years.
Didn't Chadley score more? Didn't Chadley score more goals in his time at Tottenham than Lamela?
Yeah, and he was there 3 years.
I actually think he did. By the way, I actually genuinely think he did. That is, and the fact that somehow Nacer Chadli, I don't know how he still gets in the fringes of the Belgian team. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, he's been in and around the team. When they've only got injuries, he's in there.
So Nacer Chadli scored 15 goals in 85 appearances for Tottenham. I want to see Lamela's because this has to be brought up. By the way,
I think he had 17 Premier League goals for Tottenham.
17 goals in 177 games. So Nacer Chadli stayed about 5 years less than Lamela, and Lamela only scored 2 more goals. Oh my god, it's horrendous.
That's the level of this football club at times. The recruitment is embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. You know, we've brought in like Papa Sarr from Metz in Ligue 1 walks into this team and he's an 18-year-old. A box-to-box goal-scoring DM who can do it all, and he's 18. Get rid of Winks, get rid of Dele Alli, bring me a playmaker, and bring in an actual centre-back who can defend.
Spot on. Anyway, let's quickly tackle these 2 questions. We had, I've just picked the 2 best questions from followers, and we've already covered one about. So one of the questions was Bergwijn or Moura, and because we've already covered this, we'll go on to this one quickly. It's Lucas Moura for 100%. That was asked by Kevin Leon on Instagram, 77. Bergwijn or Moura, Henry, I'm sure you agree. Lucas, right?
Moura all day long. It's not even a debate. Moura every single day of the week.
Spot on. The other question is from someone else on Instagram. I thought it was a good one. Sana Simonai. I'm going to butcher it, but you asked it on Instagram. Thank you. And he said, "Who's our top 3 most important players?" Because the reason why I picked this one out is because most people would go the usual, Kane, Son, Højbjerg probably, or Kane, Son, whoever, right? But is Kane our most 3 important players now that we've realised we're planning on for a future without him? That would be
the
my
most
question.
important player in our 11 is Hugo Lloris. And I'd have Hugo Lloris in front of Son. Hugo Lloris, don't get me wrong, he has that 6-7 game split in every season where he's awful. But every single season he is consistently very good. And every single season he is consistently in the top 4 goalkeepers of the year. This season it's a bit more difficult because you've brought in Martinez, Alisson, De Gea at times can be world class. Mendy, Ederson as well. So now it's kind of like Lloris is slowly falling down the pecking order. But he's getting on.
He's getting on. He's been so loyal for how many years? 7, 8? Ridiculous.
Yeah.
The guy turned down.
I think it's not that. I think it's 8 or 9 years this year.
But the guy turned down moves to like Juventus, PSG.
It's ridiculous. That's
loyalty, and I completely maybe don't agree with you in terms of maybe the first name, but I would put him in the top 3. Do you know what? I'm glad you said that because I actually stumbled. I was going to say Kane, Son, and Lloris, but I went with Højbjerg. But the top 3 most important players.
Lloris, Son, Højbjerg.
Yeah,
At the moment, obviously, last year it would be Kane, Son, Højbjerg, or Kane, Son, Lloris. But at the moment, Kane, the guy is firing blanks.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Højbjerg
you've
has
got
to be in
Lloris has
there.
got to be in there.
I think Højbjerg has to be in there because imagine without Højbjerg where we'd be in terms of there's no midfield as it is in terms of Dele Alli's on La La Land. Skip obviously is doing pretty well, but didn't start at the weekend. You got to think to yourself, right? Without Højbjerg, we would be. I'm going to do an expressions here. We'd be a Premier League pack of polos. There's nothing in the middle there.
Bagel FC, mate. Bagel FC.
Bagel FC, right? There is nothing in that middle. And Højbjerg is the most important player in the midfield. And I'd put him in the top 3. I'd go, at the moment, like you said, go Son, Højbjerg, and Lloris.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair argument. Some people would say Romero as well, but it's very early days.
No, I don't think you put him in there yet. Not yet,
I think
anyway.
it has to be Son because he carries the offense. Højbjerg because he's the Viking in midfield, and Lloris because he's been so consistent for nearly a decade. So, plus Hugo Lloris is our most capped player. He has our most highest amount of clean sheets in the Premier League. So Hugo Lloris has to be in there.
Agreed. 100%.
Absolutely has to be in there for me. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Absolutely. And I'm glad people still like Lloris because there was a lot of people, again, you're talking about social media, that went off Lloris and said, Lloris has got to come out. And he does make a couple of mistakes. He's a bit sketchy at times, but, he is a world-class shop stopper and one of the best Tottenham's ever seen for 100% sure. I think we're all square there. I've very much enjoyed our first episode, Henry, in terms of this new Spurs-related weekly sort of reactions we're doing. Hope you've enjoyed it too.
Yeah. Make sure everyone absolutely obliterates the like button as well. Thank you for having me on. This will be hopefully every single week. We'll be talking transfers, topics, player ratings, previews, reactions,
debates. 100%. It's all there.
Hopefully, we'll start getting the viewers in and build on this. But it's still very early days. If you have any suggestions about what you think we could potentially do to improve, just put it in the comments.
Spot on.
And yeah,
make sure you like.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. You'll see a lot of people on YouTube say that, but it really does help, and it makes you think from a content creator that the viewers are actually enjoying your content. So make sure you do smash the like button, guys.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Henry. I think you're spot on in terms of any suggestions. Like you said, we want to get the fans on. We want to hear your opinions. Maybe we'll get you on at certain points in the show. Just let us know your opinions. And yeah, obviously, thank you very much for joining us, everyone that's watched. And Henry, see you again this time next week, 7 p.m. Wednesday is the time. International break. Hope you guys, I was about to say hope you guys enjoy it. You're not going to enjoy it. But yeah, roll on next week. Come on, you Spurs. Cheers, guys.
Come on, Spurs.
Take care. Bye-bye.